My toxic boss told me I'd fail, but he never saw this coming. I slid the cream envelope across my boss's glass desk and watched his smile die in slow motion. Behind me, the elevator dinged and a line of people stepped out with banker's boxes, like a small parade of quiet storms. You know that moment when the air shifts and even the ceiling lights feel colder? That was the moment. "Vanessa, what is this supposed to be?" he asked, the corner of his mouth doing that twitch it did when he smelled panic on other people. "Open it, Bradley," I said. My voice was steady, which already shocked him. For 2 years, he trained me to stutter in his presence. 2 years of, "You'll never make it past assistant manager, sweetheart," delivered with a chuckle that made my teeth ache. Today, the chuckle got lost somewhere on its way out. He tore the flap and skimmed. The purple in his face drained to chalk. I could see his pulse in the thin skin at the temple. His eyes jumped to mine, then to the window, where snow dusted the Chicago skyline like sugar on burnt toast. "It's a joke," he said, but it came out like a question. "It's notarized and time-stamped, noon." He checked the clock on his monitor, 11:58. The elevator dinged again, more boxes. My friend and designer Luz gave me the smallest nod. Our project manager Coletta set her box down by the reception fern like she was putting down a baby. Across the floor, I heard the click of someone deleting a Slack workspace and the whoosh of a shared drive being unshared. It sounded like birds taking off in an empty stadium. "Where are they going?" Bradley stood, palms flat on the glass. "Where are you going?" I leaned closer. "I let you talking, Bradley, while I built something you said I couldn't." I could have told him then what the envelope said and why his badge would stop working at noon, and why those boxes were already labeled with new addresses, and why the badge printer on the 12th floor had been very busy last night. I could have told him about the master lease with my signature and how he would need a guest pass to enter his own office by lunchtime. But I didn't, because the door behind us opened again, and the person who stepped in made him take a step back like the floor moved. And before I tell you who it was and what I did that made him stop talking for good, if you're new to this channel, please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss jaw-dropping real-life revenge stories as they drop every day. Thanks. Your support means a lot. Now, let me take you to the beginning so you know why noon was the exact minute I chose. My name is Vanessa King. I'm 32, and my hometown smells like lake wind and bad coffee. I moved to Chicago because I wanted to see what happened if I aimed high and didn't apologize for wanting more than rent and a good job cupcake once a year. I have a sister in Milwaukee who texts in all caps when she is happy, and a mother who still thinks HR is the police. I used to think kindness meant saying yes to everything. Now I think kindness looks a lot like boundaries with a good lock. 2 years ago, I joined Arcadia Dynamics as an operations lead. The office sat on the 13th floor of a glass tower on LaSalle, right above a food court where everything tasted like it had given up. On my first day, the receptionist couldn't find my badge. Bradley Knox, our VP, thought it was hilarious. "No badge? Guess you'll just have to earn access, sweetheart." He said sweetheart like he was chewing gum he wanted to spit in my hand. Bradley had that salesman charm that goes rancid under stress. His tie knots were always too tight. His hair was a shade darker every quarter. He believed in culture, by which he meant golf with the board, and a monthly email about inclusion that he did not read before he sent. At first, I ignored the comments. It was easier to smile and say got it, and build the systems he should have built. When he dumped the vendor renewal chaos on my desk, I made a dashboard that tracked spend by the hour and saved us enough in late fees to buy everyone actual chairs that did not pinch your spine. When a client threatened to walk, I found the misrounded tickets and set up a triage that cut response time by 50%. He sent a company email, proud of my team, no names. I trained a new analyst named Kira, who reminded me of who I wanted to be at 24, stubborn and kind at the same time. She asked good questions. She brought blueberry muffins on the days she could tell the office felt like a balloon inches from a ceiling fan. She started keeping a notebook of things Bradley says that will be funny someday. On page 1, she wrote, "Stop buying power suits. Looks desperate." Funny someday. Not yet. Bradley's favorite game was the ceiling. He'd say he believed in women rising, then hand me a stack of admin tasks and the same salary I had at my last job, plus a parking voucher I did not need. He praised me in conference rooms when the board was there and cut me out of emails when they were not. He called my ideas ambitious, then repeated them 2 weeks later with new adjectives. He incorrectly called Luz Lucy for 6 months, then told me I was too sensitive when I corrected him. Relax, Vanessa, he'd say. You're young. You'll get it. Young. The word hung out in the air like a fly. Meanwhile, he called Nate from sales the kid and paid him 20 grand more than me. I hate that I remember the day it changed because the trigger was small. I was eating at my desk, hungry because lunch had turned into errands Bradley should have done. I had a microwave burrito that peeled its tortilla like a sunburn, and my Spotify playlist was all songs that make you daydream about a better apartment. Bradley walked by, looked at my screen, and said in that bored tone, "You'll never make it past logistics, Vanessa. You're the reliable type. Reliable girls don't lead, they support." He said it like he was describing a printer. Something in me clicked. It wasn't a big cinematic moment with violins. It was a quiet door, shutting, in a hallway you forgot you had. Support, huh? I thought. Okay, let me show you what support can do when it has a spine. I started small. I built a map of the company that did not exist on paper, only in people's heads. Who really ran which process? Who actually made the clients happy? Who fixed the bugs at 2 a.m. when the owners were asleep? I wrote it all down. I learned birthdays and allergies and who needed to leave early for daycare and who did best after 10 a.m. and which machines in the break room ate quarters. Kindness became data. Empathy became power. Bradley kept talking. He said, "You'll never command a room." I started hosting the weekly ops sync and I made it 10 minutes shorter than anyone else. He said, "Clients like the alpha." I learned that clients like whoever remembers their children's names and delivers on Tuesday without being asked twice. He told me I lacked vision. I stopped telling him mine. I saved. I swallowed my pride. I stopped pushing for a promotion and pushed for silence instead. When he thought I was discouraged, I was designing a quiet war. And then came the betrayal. Because there is always one, right? We had a big agency pitch for a retail chain that would basically double our book if we landed it. I built the deck. Luz made it sing. Kira pulled the data. Bradley rehearsed lines he didn't understand using a mirror in Conference B. We got it. The client shook my hand and said, "We like how you see people." I almost cried in the elevator. That night, we went to O'Malley's on Clark, where the fries are perfect and the bartenders don't fake laugh. Bradley gave a toast to my strategy. My strategy. My phone vibrated. 2 emails at once. The new title I'd asked for declined. The quarterly bonus cut to realign expectations. The reason? Vanessa is a strong executor, not leadership material. I put my glass down because my hands were shaking. I went to the bathroom and stared at the mirror and said out loud, "Okay." The stall door creaked. Luz looked at me. She said, "You done being nice?" I nodded. That night, I found a new gear. The first thing I did was check my contract. No non-compete. Bradley bragged that he didn't believe in handcuffs. He preferred control by humiliation. Fine. The second thing I did was call my Uncle Ray in Evanston, who runs a tiny property outfit and knows every landlord in Northside by first pet's name. "Ray," I said, "hypothetically, what would it cost to secure a short master lease for 2 floors in a mid-sized LaSalle building if the current tenant is month to month and the landlord hates them for late payments?" He laughed. "Hypothetically? You planning a coup, Ness?" I didn't answer. "I'll make a call," he said. Uncle Ray is the one who taught me that kindness is not weakness. It just has better manners than revenge. The third thing I did, I went for a walk at 1 a.m. The streets were quiet. The river looked like melted metal. I stood on a bridge and asked myself if I wanted to blow up a life for the thrill of payback. The answer was no. I wanted to build a place where people did not flinch when a calendar invite appeared at 7 p.m. I wanted to be the boss I had begged for. The darkness was just a good color to paint the outline. Then I started working. I built a company that didn't exist yet, all in the margins of a life I still had to show up for at 9 sharp. I called it Kindly Inc. People always underestimate a soft word. Kindly would be our inside joke and our promise. I registered the name, the logo, the domain. I met with an angel investor who used to be a client and owed me favors because I had once saved his product launch with a rescue team of 3 and a Costco sheet cake. He did not know he owed Bradley anything. I talked to the clients I could talk to without crossing lines. Public RFPs, off-cycle contracts, fulfillment work that Arcadia didn't have time for. I asked what they missed in vendors. The answers were so obvious it almost hurt. basic respect. On-time deliverables. No magic tricks. I could do that in my sleep. Next, I started having coffee with my own people. Not to poach, to listen. If you could do this job right, what would change? No 7 p.m. pings, said Luce. Actual training, said Kira. Pay that matches the work, said Jared from DevOps. A fridge that's not a biology experiment, said Coletta. I wrote it all down. I told them nothing and everything in the same breath. I told them I was building something in case the future needed us. I told them no secrets, no pressure. I told them I loved them enough to want them paid fairly, even if it wasn't by me. Bradley noticed my calm and hated it. He gave me a performance improvement plan, because there is no better way to make a woman shut up than to put her on a piece of fake paper. It said, 3 months to show leadership. I laughed in my car until my stomach hurt. I named my next folder PIP and filled it with onboarding docs for Kindly. He told me to smile more. I designed our parental leave policy and made it better than anything I had seen. He called me kiddo. I set up our healthcare plan with a broker who shook my hand and said nobody negotiates like a one who is done being told to stay small. At home, I lived simple. Pasta, secondhand couch that didn't judge me. I slept like a thief with one ear open. I checked my savings, cut my costs, sold the shoes I bought for a job I was outgrowing. I gave away clothes to Kira because she liked grown-up blazers, and it made her stand taller in meetings. My anger pulsed at night like a warning light, but I fed it with purpose, not with fire. Then the first yes came in, a mid-tier retail brand with a heart of gold founder who wanted what we had promised at Arcadia and never delivered. She asked if I could start February 1st. I looked at the calendar, 3 weeks. I breathed through my nose, said yes. The second yes came with a twist. The building owner called me back. She said, Ray speaks highly of you. Arcadia has been difficult. If you can guarantee rent for 2 floors for 12 months, it's yours by the 1st of the next month. 2 floors, 12 months. A number that made me sit down on my bed and stare at the wall until my neighbor's dog barked me back into my body. Can I take both floors on a master lease with subletting rights? She said, you can if you wire by Friday. I called my investor. How committed are you to the idea that people do better when they're not scared? He laughed. Wire by Friday, he said. The transfer hit Thursday at 3:14 p.m. The next morning, I sat in a quiet office with white walls and big windows and signed a lease in my name. And that is when the plan became a clock. The last week before noon felt like a robbery that I was pulling off with grace and receipts. I scheduled our exit like a ballet. Monday, I quietly booked movers for a family storage unit for Saturday. The movers did not care that my family had 20 monitors. I labeled boxes with a colored code: lavender for design, teal for ops, gray for personal items that we'd take home to force ourselves to rest. Tuesday, I set up new laptops with our freshly baked logins: Kindly Mail, Kindly Drive, Kindly Time Tracking that was not a trap. Luz sketched badges with a small gold heart for day ones. Jared built an onboarding bot that told bad jokes and asked people to drink water. Wednesday, I met with HR at Arcadia. We're thrilled with your improvement plan, they said. I smiled. I signed documents with a hand that felt like it belonged to someone else. I asked how the 401k rollover worked. I nodded a lot. Thursday, I took Bradley's meeting notes to transcribe and found a list he had written in a hurry. Replace Vanessa. Title: Ops Director. Needs: agreeable. Male preferred. Can you believe he wrote that down on company letterhead? I took a photo for my own petty museum of mistakes and then deleted it because I promised myself this wouldn't be about catching him. This would be about leaving him with empty offices and an echo. Friday morning, I left donuts in the kitchen with a note that said, "Thank you for building the thing that works. V." I knew he'd call it emotional. I hoped the sugar kept people from shaking. Friday, 10 a.m. I sent 3 emails. One to my team, subject line, noon. It had one line: you know what to do. One to the building owner, see you at 11:55. And one to Bradley, I need 10 minutes at 11:50. At 11:45, the elevator doors opened like theater curtains. My people stepped out with the boxes we had packed the night before at my apartment while eating cold pizza and laughing like we were at a sleepover that could change our lives. Kira's braid was messy, Lou's had on red lipstick that said today is important. Jared wore the same hoodie he wore the day we saved the network in 30 minutes. Coletta carried a plant named Donna who had survived 3 winters and 2 break room floods. I loved them so much it hurt. I walked into Bradley's office with the cream envelope and set it down like a wedding invitation. He grinned like he smelled blood. PIP update? Feedback? I love feedback, especially from the ladies. I waited until the second hand reached the 6. I said, "Open it." He read. The blood left. The office became very quiet. It was the kind of quiet you get in a theater at the exact second the plot snaps into focus. "Master lease?" he whispered. What master lease?" "The one for floors 12 and 13? I said gently because cruelty bored me now. "Starting today at noon. Subletting rights included. Tenant at will on 14 is being transitioned. That's you, Bradley." He choked on a laugh. "You can't evict me," he said. "We have a month to month." "Which ended yesterday at midnight," I said, tapping the date on the page. 30 days notice was given to you. Read the second page." He flipped. He scanned. He found the signature that wasn't mine. The door behind me opened. "Bradley," said the building owner. She wore a black coat and a scarf that looked expensive and warm. "Your rent is 38 days late. Your staff badges will deactivate at noon. We've arranged for you to collect personal items. Security will help." He made a sound I had never heard. It was small. It sounded like a drawer closing on a finger. Behind me, the elevator dinged again. A courier stepped out with a flat white box. He looked around. "Delivery for Vanessa?" He handed me the box. Inside were the 12 badges from upstairs, warm from the printer, names embossed in tiny gold type. I slid one out. It read, "Kindly Inc. Vanessa King, founder." I set it on Bradley's desk like a candy at a restaurant you're not going back to. He shook his head. You stole." "Nothing," I said. "I took my kindness seriously, and your timelines literally." I gestured to the window. Across the street, our new logo was being mounted in frosted vinyl on clean glass. "Restart at 1. He stared at the elevator, then at the boxes, then at the people who would not meet his eyes. He was a man suddenly swimming in a new current and pretending he meant to. He pointed at Kira. You're under development. You can't just go." Kira lifted her chin like a queen. "I gave 30 days notice. Check your email." She had. I knew because I scheduled it with her at my kitchen table. "Bradley," I said softly, "this is what you taught me. You said I'd never make it. You said I'd always be support. Support holds the whole thing up, and sometimes it moves the whole thing out." He leaned on the desk. He was sweating. And then, because the universe has a sense of humor, a call lit up his phone, the retail chain, the big one. I let it ring twice. Then I picked it up and hit speaker. "Hi, this is Arcadia, Bradley's office." A voice woman. "Oh, Vanessa? I was calling to say we're moving our Q2 work to a different vendor, effective immediately." The color in Bradley's face changed again. "What? We loved your pitch, but we've decided to go with someone who sees people and actually delivers on Tuesday." "Who?" he asked, even though he knew. There was a tiny pause. "Kindly Inc., she said. "Do you know them?" I looked up at the clock. Noon. And that is when the lights in our office blinked, then hummed back to life with a new network name glowing on every device. Kindly start. New Wi-Fi, new rules, new door. Bradley swayed. He looked at me like I had pushed him into a lake. "He'll fail," he whispered, desperate. "You'll fail, and they'll come crawling back and all." I smiled in a way I learned from my mother, the school nurse who can stop a teenage boy from bleeding and bragging in the same sentence. "Maybe, maybe not. But today, you are out of time." He opened his mouth, and the person behind me finally stepped fully into the doorway, the last face Bradley wanted to see on this particular noon. And I'll tell you who it was in the next chapter, with what they said that made Bradley forget how to breathe. I'll also tell you about the one thing I put in that envelope that was not paper at all, and why it almost changed everything. Before I go, let me say this. I didn't do any of this to be a hero. I did it because kindness without a backbone becomes a bruise, and I was tired of icing it. I did it because every woman in that office deserved a door that opened for her the first time she swiped. I did it because support is not a cage, it's a choice. And when you choose it for yourself, it can look like a company with coffee that doesn't taste like tears and policies that assume you are human. Would you have done it my way? Or would you have gone louder, messier, sooner? Be honest. Was I wrong for reacting this way? If you loved watching a toxic boss choke on his own arrogance, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life revenge stories, and drop a comment because, let's be honest, you've probably dreamed of pulling the same stunt on your own boss. Don't just watch karma. Join the club.